Thusu, Senior VP, REPL. Mr. Daleep Thusu has more than 35 years of experience in managing and controlling buildings, infrastructure, roads and bridges projects. At REPL, he extensively works on infrastructure, building design services and project management consultancy, PMC.
Mr. Nayak, what the scope and the thing. When scope are there, some challenges are also there. What are the challenges? What you feel that PPP model? Any challenges in partnership? What do you feel? Because you are expert for that, you are writing so many articles, also a member of so many organizations, and notable achievement under you have done so many important aspects, whether you are talking about the medical college or hospitals or mini secretariat, engineering or assembly complex, so many things you have done it. So I am just asking you, what are the challenges for this model, sir? You hand over to Mr. Daleep, sir. Please, Daleep, sir, please give your thoughts, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta and others, and good afternoon to everybody. I want to just update. I have worked mostly in the government sector, in J&K government, and I worked on the position of the chief engineer and the managing director of infrastructure development for PSU for about 13 years. So for the last about 2.5 years, I have been working in a consulting company known as Rudra Abhishek here. So and this company is purely working on the design and PMC pan-India for various projects. So while we talk about the PPP, it has, as my colleagues, Mr. Sanjay Srivastava and Mr. Nayak have outlined very nicely. And I will be, in addition to the challenges, as you mentioned, I will be adding a little bit more things. While we have advantages of the PPP, like it has the increased efficiency in the project delivery, operation and management, or availability of additional sources to meet the growing needs of the investment in the sector, or access to the advanced technology. But there are of course, some additional costs of the PPP projects, like cost of borrowing money in the higher for private sector than the public sector, then administrative costs for the management of the PPP contractual regimes. Then, of course, transaction costs are substantial, like evaluation, develop a contract, bidding, arrange funding, staff costs, and financing costs. In every PPP project, actually, a thumb rule was given to the begin with, like it was termed as like 4 R's are there, like resources, risk, responsibility, and rewards for a viable PPP project. It was just when this concept started. I think my colleague, Mr. Nayak, I think he has worked in NHI, and I've also been associated with NHI for a long time, being in the state government. NHATP, NHDP projects we have been implementing, and I've worked for a brief time in NHI DCL also. So the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways clearly they amended, right? Rather, there was a act of the National Highways Act, I think of 1956, which was amended in June 95, that private sector can invest in NH projects, levy, collect and retain the fees for the users. And of course, I will update you, they added some immense incentives for the private sector participation and foreign direct investment also, like government to bear the cost of the project feasibility study, land for the right of way and wayside amenities, shifting of utilities, then environmental clearance and cutting of trees, then FDI up to 100% in the road sector, and provision of subsidy up to 40% of the project cost to make project viable, then right to retain the toll and toll rates on the wholesale price index, of course, and then duty-free import of the high capacity and modern road equipment. So they added all these incentives to attract more participation in the private sector, which was on the BOT model, BOT NVT basis, and SPV basis also. So I will come to now mainly the challenges which I have been asked to do. So one is like regulatory environment. While we talk of the absence of an independent regulatory does not diminish the progress of the PPP initially, but sectors such as roads, airports, and ports have either no independent regulator or the multiple regulators. And there is an overlap in the functions of the regulatory agencies, which has led to the problems in certain cases, giving rise to call for decisions taken at the arm's length. So like dispute resolution mechanisms are very slow and not well developed also. Then second is the multiplicity of the institutions and overlap in the roles. This mostly involves in the lack of urban planning, clear laws, regulations, and procedures, which has resulted in the slowdown of the urban infrastructure projects. Third is the project feasibility studies. Project feasibility studies such as feasibility study is a must for a private executor. Over aggressive bidding and inadequate due diligence to the bidders that has led to the like pricing of the risk, despite engaging with the best consultants in the field. That has also been one of the main challenges. Fourth is a lack of the institutional capacity. This has resulted in the price of projects ending in the dispute, stretched project timelines, and increased costs, such as commercial and operational risks need to be passed to the private sector under appropriate framework. Liabilities direct and contingent that would develop on the part of the PPE in the concession along with the risk allocation needs to be ensured upfront by the parties. Then one more, then external factors. So there are some economic slowdown across the country. Credit slows down, demand slows down. As my colleague just mentioned, there are some epidemic or pandemics happening as we have experienced in the last 4 years. Then adverse judicial orders also. This has been a very important factor, that banning of some mining activities in some areas, then the raw material is not available, like aggregate, sands, these are not available, or earth fill is not available. Sir, it has also delayed the progress of the development and implementation of the PP projects and revenue flows. Then contractual frameworks. Inadequate provisions to address the legal and contractual issues such as exit clause provisions, default by the parties, change of scope, related events, and connectivity infrastructure. So keeping in, these are the main about 8 challenges which I have listed. So now together with it, now there are some, as Mr. Sanjay Srivastava in the beginning, he mentioned about the risks. I think one of the main risks, I think, which he omitted has been seen in some parts of this, that's called the political risk. What we called as that sometimes the change of the government policy or action that affects the PPP project, and I have seen some projects got a hard hit on this account. Then the regulatory risks are also there. Force major risk due to unpredictable natural and man-made events, here earthquake, flood, civil war, he has also mentioned. Then construction and completion risks like delay in the construction or cost overruns. Then, of course, technology risks, new and untried technology whose performance cannot be checked against the existing references. Then sponsor risks are also there, ability of the private sponsors, environmental risks, environmental constraints in the construction of the operation, and commercial risks like lower demand and revenues that once the project is completed. Operating risks like inefficiency in operation leading to the higher operating costs, and financial risks, change in the risk and interest and currency rates, and of course, last of all, the legal risks. So these are the main impediments which are coming in the way. Like I have mentioned, these are the challenges and risks which need to be mitigated. Now there are some areas where the risk matrix is prepared in some models which I have studied, and which have outlined how the risks can be mitigated to a large extent in such projects. Like transparency is to be there, properly executed project appraisals have to be, and cash flow appraisals have to be there, and good institutional due diligence and competent transaction advisor needs to be engaged for some projects. So I think this is a very large field to talk about the challenge and risk, but in summary, whatever in the time I have detailed, and if anybody feels we can detail it out. Thank you so much. I want to sum up on this, that PPP model in the country has been very successful, and I think I will update others. I think about 1900 PPP projects have been awarded so far at a cost of about 25 lakh crores. And with this, our infrastructure development has risen in last 10 years by 40 to 45%. When we talk of the airports or railway stations or highways, if you talk, I have been going frequently to Northeast also, looking after some smart city projects. If you talk, let me talk from the J&K state. See, the travel time from one district to other district or from Jammu to Srinagar was about 12 to 13 hours. It is reduced to just 5 hours as of late. With the introduction of a mighty Jammu Srinagar highway, which is not still complete, by introduction of some tunnels from some mighty grade elevators, bridges, and the travel time as on date is about 5 to 6 hours against 14 hours. And when this entire stretch will be completed, it will be 4 hours only. And I assure you, it will be less than the air travel time. By whatever time you waste in going to the terminal, checking in, all that, but it is just 4 hours for 300 kilometers. So I think it has been a big boost of our economy or the infrastructure development. And now you go to the Northeast. I think Northeast, 7 states like Assam, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Arunachal. I go to Arunachal very frequently. So I think it's a huge area. But now NHIDCL is coming up with some mighty roads there. Even Tripura, you see the Tripura from Agartala city to, there is a one Mata Tripura Sundari temple. It's about 90 kilometers away. Earlier, it used to take you 3 to 4 hours. It is just 45 minutes from now. So this has added our values, added our infrastructure development. So I think one aspect we skipped, environmental impact assessment. We have on all these projects. Environment has to play a big role because our projects get stuck upon for the EC, environmental clearance. That which is what we talk about the water pollution, sewage, deforestation, pollution in air, extinction of the species, desertification, damage caused to human health, aqua life, or animals even, impact on flora, wastewater disposal, and last of all, dust from the construction projects. I think it was listed and we could not discuss it anyway, and maybe we'll discuss it a second time because environmental impact assessment has a very huge role on our PPP projects, large projects, whether it is road, tunnel, or any highway projects. And one more I want to update last of all. You see, in China, they did a research on travel time from one state to other state. Like you must have been seeing in India, we construct the bridges across the river. So they went with a model of constructing a bridge or a flyover, whatever you call viaduct, along the longitudinal section of the river. So they constructed a 100-kilometer viaduct in the center of the river, and the travel time reduced from about 3 hours to, I think, 45 minutes. So I think what my colleague Mr. Vadva said about the water transport, and I think it has a huge potential in the coming days and which can be explored. Thank you so much.